Hey Cafe crew, it's Colin Smith here from photoshopCAFE.com. Why would I buy a 12 megapixel camera in the year 2020? Let's have a quick look. This is kind of like a first look at the Sony A7S III. So I know you guys are not huge fans of unboxings, so there we go. It's unboxed. Let's get started. So over the last 4 or 5 years, among other things, I've been David Lee Roth's personal photographer. So what does that mean? That means, yes, I go to the shows. This January, February, I was on tour, on the KISS tour, shooting the shows, but also shooting behind the scenes. So sometimes I'm on tour buses, sometimes we're walking backstage between the tour bus and the stage or from the green room where it's not very well lit. And yes, I'm shooting photography, but I'm also shooting behind the scenes video. So what I really need is good low light performance and good dynamic range. Why would you say dynamic range at a concert? Aren't they well lit? So sometimes you're at a show, you know, say for example an arena, there's 15,000 people, there's this big huge spotlight on your subject and this face is glowing very, very brightly. So you don't want to blow out the face, you've obviously got to capture it, but you need enough dynamic range so you can bring some context in. So you can bring in, you know, the speakers and other band members, sometimes the audience when you're shooting from the stage forward. You need to kind of pick that up, so you need that dynamic range. So let's just stop for a second. Is this camera the best camera for everybody? No. Is this the best camera for some people? Absolutely. And let me explain. And by the way, I'm not sponsored by this. I'm not sponsored by any camera manufacturer. I can use whatever camera I want. In fact, right now I'm shooting on a Canon C200 because that's the best in-studio camera for me. But when I go out on the road and I'm traveling, you know, vlogging, I also do tech videos, travel, all those kinds of things. This is why I got this camera. And let's talk quickly about some of the things that this camera has that the A7 III did not have. The first and foremost, most important thing when you're vlogging, flip out screen. Man, this makes a difference because without a flip out screen, you're just shooting very wide and you're just kind of hoping that you're in frame. And if you shoot wide enough, you'll always be in frame. But let's look at the shooting modes on this camera. This camera can shoot up to 120 frames per second in 4K. It can also shoot up to 240 frames in 1080. And that's great to get that beautiful, buttery, slow motion. This camera performs really well in low light, which is one of the main reasons I got it. And this is why it's only 12 megapixel. When you have a higher megapixel camera, that means on that sensor, that same size sensor, so you're putting way more nodes into that sensor size. So to get that high resolution, you've got lots of really, really tiny nodes that are okay, and they're gonna give you a good picture. When you're only 12 megapixel, that means in the same size sensor, because this is a full frame, you've got less of those little nodes, and these nodes have better light sensitivity. Think about film. The higher the ISO of the film, the bigger the grain was. So, you know, if you were shooting on an 800 or 1200 film, the grain would be bigger than if you were shooting on a 100 film. So that same principle applies to digital sensors. You want to get that good, clean, low light, you need those nodes in those sensors to be bigger. One of the other things that's nice about this flip out screen is it's now touch screen, so I can go through the controls and change them. The menus have been updated to be more intuitive, which is super nice. Now, some of the things that are really good about this is the battery. The battery in this camera is the same as the battery in the A7 III. And that's awesome. And actually the way the battery changes is really important. And why is that important? Well, say for example, you're shooting a concert in low light. Sometimes it's dark. It's just like combat. You've got to be able to switch your batteries in and out very quickly without looking. And this is the same. The battery mechanism works exactly the same batteries, so I don't have to buy all new batteries. Speaking of that, in the box, we get a battery, of course, and we get a battery charger, which is really nice. The A7 III did not come with the battery charger. Comes with a strap, which, to be honest, I don't really use on video because the strap just kind of gets in the way and just kind of flops around. You're trying to put mics on, take it on and off monopods, take it on and off things like, you know, gimbals and stuff like that. It just gets in the way. One of the things I do use, though, is these little wrist straps. So, you know, that way it just gives me something so in case I drop my camera, I'm not going to lose it, but it's not flopping around and getting in the way. And you'll also find that if you're in the pit and you've got this stuff dangling off you everywhere. You're going to be bumping into other people. It's going to get caught. It's not going to be pretty. And it also comes with this cable manager, so I can attach that on there, and it helps me keep everything all nice and neat. As far as the form factor, it's not that different than the A7 III. But a couple of differences. One is this is first and foremost made for video. So if you're looking for shooting photos, stills, this is probably not the camera for you. If you want to shoot video, this is definitely the beast, especially run and gun stuff. And you can tell when it comes out of the box, it's set to video mode. One of the nice things, this knob, you know how you hit these knobs, they move. This one was not, it's locked, so you hit the button to change it so you're not accidentally going to change the mode. Particularly in the dark, because you can't see where this is. This also shoots in 10-bit 422, which gives you really high quality. Now, what's the difference between 8-bit and 10-bit? Well, if you look at things like the gradients in the skies, you're going to see banding in there when you're shooting at 8-bit, and also it's going to fall apart pretty quickly when you go to edit it in post. When you use the 10-bit, it smoothens out the gradients, and what it also does is gives you more in post. Almost like you're editing photos, it gives you that extra. 8-bit supports 256 tones per channel. 10-bit supports 1028 tones per channel, so that's a lot more. A couple of other nice things in here is, if you look at these cameras, you can hear it rattling because of the connectors here. This one here, they've put nice plastic ones in and kept them nice and stiff, so it keeps it quiet. You don't have that noise of these kind of rattling around, which is nice for video. Another thing is these doors, they've actually put real doors in here and they've separated different modules. Say for example, I open the door here for the microphone jack, everything else stays weather sealed and just the mic jack goes in there. You're not exposing other things to the conditions. So you open the door you need, really nice. And sometimes it's just those little things that make a big difference. I pop it open here, notice you've got room for 2 CF Express cards. Alright guys, so I just got this last night, so I haven't shot a lot yet, but I went out early this morning, got some shots. Let's have a look at them right now. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to test was low light, just because, you know, that's supposed to be the big thing about this. But look at this, this is super clean. This is without any adjustments. I'm just playing it in Premiere Pro right now.
That's fine, I am done.
Look at that. That's very little noise, and this was at night with my lights turned down pretty low, so that's pretty cool. So this shot here really is a dynamic range test, and so I'm shooting into the sun. Everything is backlit. The sun is actually in the frame. Look at that. And we're still seeing some blue sky. So that is like more than what I was hoping for. And I'm also looking at this. This is super clean. This is video, and I'm looking at it, and it's almost as clean as a photograph. Let's play that back. And this is on a 4K monitor, and I'm just playing it in Premiere Pro right now. So you might see a little jumpiness here and there. And these are all handheld. Let's have a look at another shot.
No.
This is 4K.
No.
And I'm just pausing it. Look at that. That's super clean. I wanted to test the slow motion. So I shot this of the flag. Now, this is only shot in 1080 because I only had an ultra high speed 1 card in there, so I could only shoot up to 120 frames per second in 1080. Couldn't do 240 without the faster card, and same with 4K, couldn't do the 240 without that. And let's have a look and see how this one looks. This is straight out of camera, by the way, guys. So I just like the way the water is reflecting here. And this is zoomed in. This is handheld. So it's actually zoomed in here to 70mm at full zoom handheld. So this one here is 4K at 60 frames per second, and we're using 10-bit 420. And of course this is playing straight out of Premiere Pro without making any adjustments, and I'm just playing it back at 60 at 4K right now. You can see there's a little bit of movement there, but once again this is handheld. Also notice the sound is there, which you don't normally get in the slow motion. And I'm going to pause it. And this is at 100% magnification. Look at this. There's no noise. There's no grain. There's no artifacting. This is just nice and crisp and clean. I gotta tell you guys, I am super excited about this camera. The things I'm going to be able to shoot on it, I'm just really excited. And this is handheld 4K. This is 422. Hit the pause button. Look how clean that is. Look at the dynamic range. Nothing's blown out. And this is without any adjustments. And let's just have a look at one last thing. Talking about adjustments. Why don't we have a look at some adjustments here? I'm going to go into the Lumetri color here. And let's just make this fit on screen. So what I'm doing is I'm pushing this to see how well this holds up. Look at that. This is almost like Lightroom. And if any of you have been editing with video, you know that this falls apart very, very quickly. Look at the exposure. It's just holding up. Wow. Let's recover the highlights. This is almost like working with Lightroom with photos. I know I keep saying that, but this is amazing for video. These are photographic quality video frames. Man. And by the way, guys, may as well just say it. Today is my birthday. I know you're not supposed to be working on your birthday. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to go out and do nothing. But it actually seemed more fun to me to be making this video than going out there and doing nothing. So I guess it shows, you know, what a nerd I am and also where my passions lie. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this first look. If it's something you're really interested in as an in-depth review or a comparison or anything like that, let me know in the comments underneath. And I'd be happy to do that. If no one cares, if there's too many reviews out there already, I'm not going to bother adding another review to the mix. But I am kind of giving my opinion based on what I'm doing on my specific use case. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. By the way, if you're new here to Photoshop Cafe, hit that subscribe button and become part of the Cafe crew. Get Photoshop and Lightroom tutorials from me all the time, as well as the occasional review. So anyway, guys, if you like it, smash the like button into dust. And until next time, by the way, I'm going to go and have a meat pie right now for my birthday. I'll see you at the cafe.